Lecture time again. Yay! Wow! Okay, I'm going to tackle something excruciatingly painful to many people. Okay. The connection between religion, not just religion, but pseudo-religion. Is it pedophilia? No, it is general molester. Chester molester. Yeah, emotional, mental, spiritual if they can get there. Yeah. Verbal, maybe physical. Yeah. So, no, the idea here is this getting better? Are we getting better as a civilization with this? Are we really? Do you see like public service announcements about this? Not that I've seen. Okay, so they have shows on this all the time. You know, if it's true that 1 out of 3 girls, you know, is most likely, uh, it is rape. It's not molestation. That's the idea. Um, the reason why they call it a molest rather than a rape is it because there's a legal argument there? Not really. It's a religious argument. Isn't that terrible? People in religion and pseudo-religion, get there. Women and children, when things aren't going well, guess who gets it? Yeah. So we need to deflect the social ramification by calling this a molest rather than a rape. And that is true. So, I think the sentencings are correct. The 8 years standard. Yeah, true. Be up to 15 for prolonged abuse. Probably, somewhere around there. If you look on the cycle that, people lived only about 78 years old at the most. Yeah, 8 to 15 years. That is about correct. So, you know, so how do we fix that? How do we actually fix the core problem? The core problem is fifling and stifling. Okay, people putting themselves as a lord by reading the Bible. Typically, the gospel does say, you should not do that. It does warn, say, hey, you're not the Lord. Jesus is the Lord, right? So, but they get there. So they read this, and now they're the lordly person. They've taken the text, and what they've done is they have they have ported it into their mind as a feature. Okay, so the feature now is suppressing the basic functions of life. Compassion. The sensories in the mind. And this must be true. This must be true. So then, in the man's mind, he's seared off from his emotional context. After gaining such hubris, obstinance, petulance, and hubris. Yeah. Okay. And now, steering off of the emotional context, and now it becomes a game strategy. And the game strategy, people are stifled, and then devalued, and minimized, demonetized, monetized, in a thought process way. The game, these people have now have value, a worth, and now they can be used as, commodity. But it's a pawning. They're pawned for a certain amount, right? This all works out. It must be true. So the idea is, when we get to the higher level statics of thought, heard that in a Rush song. Yeah. Dog ears, interesting. That's very interesting. How time dilates for us in a very bad way. When we're concerned with a high level of political rationales, and then our base is corroding, and with that base, our time measurement is corroding. We're no longer cognizant of physical time. Isn't that interesting? So, all this works into the idea is, when we get away from materialism, what we see, our senses, that is reality, and then we have the scientific mind to question everything, and to continuously question. It all goes back to the basics. Right. So, if someone's honest with themselves, they take a massive, they just take a thorough inventory. I need to comb my hair more. Okay. And then they become more connected to their emotional base and their vocative, and the all that frack. That's an interesting word, frack, that's associated with thinking on emotions. Is it thinking? That's interesting. Could there be other types of thoughts? Well, yeah, I think so. So, what do we come up with? So, we come up with, okay, the pensive, persistent person is always probing around. He's an irritant to the general public. Yes and no, but he's appreciated, right? More appreciated than not. Is that person more likely to commit an abuse, be a general molester of people, and everything associated with people? Not exactly a user, just a real tyrannical person, pirating tyrant. Typically, this, is a self-destructive person, and then destroys other people. Well, yeah. So, getting onto the solid base of thought, wheels all that stuff out of the brain. It's, I'll just keep going back to the same lecture over and over and over. I don't know exactly if people would think there's some other way, but there really is not. So the pseudoscience on the other side of this argument it's kind of the same thing. You know, people become royal in thinking. They become nanny. They're knocked off their masculinity base, as opposed not so much on the right. It works in a different fashion, yeah, but it does get to the same place with becoming an abusive person, the general molester. Yeah, because then we have morals. The moralist is now, he has these false morals that are now superseding all, and then distancing those thoughts. He's over here, right? When the base is over here, when the base is way down here. So we see, it works that way. So this is now suppressing this down here, stifling. So it does get to the same place. Well, it sure does. But the pseudo religion is they need power for desire, right? The religion does need power for the desire also, but desire's power. There's just a flip there. So, if you really want to solve the problem, you'd have to have a federal, nationwide campaign, and use basic logic, right? Sure. But then you add the empathy in there, you add the caring, here's the cycles. Here's all these cycles that are set up that blow up civilization. I mean, you're shitting in your front yard and your backyard and your neighbor's yard at the same time, right? And then neighbor across the street. So, it's not like rocket science. It really isn't. It just always comes down to people miss out on the fundamentals. They stop thinking and start rationalizing. And then, these social medias, they could end up rationalizing, pedophilia, NAMBLA, that man love, whatever thing it is, because now it's a endangered group, victim mentality. Oh yeah, all sorts of weird shit. But in religion that works. It is a victim mentality, but it's also a perpetrator mentality. And there's a necessity to safeguard, to create a zone of deafness. And then there's silence, right? Okay. So, that's all I got to say about that.